You know, we see the statues, we read the history books, we know what great leaders did. But what if we could actually get inside their heads, see how they thought? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're stepping inside the mind of a nation builder by exploring the very place where he forged all his ideas, his personal library. So this was the monumental question staring down Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. I mean, think about it. The Ottoman Empire, the 600-year-old institution, it's just gone. And in its place, you've got a war-torn country, a population in shock, and a future that's a total blank slate. Seriously, where do you even begin with a project that massive? Well, the answer, it turns out, is right here on this page. And look, this isn't just a book. It's a piece of evidence. This is a direct look into Ataturk's private library, and those are his actual handwritten notes. This is where the thinking happened. This is the intellectual battlefield where he wrestled with the very ideas that would become an entire new republic. Right. So to really get Ataturk the statesman, you first got to understand Ataturk the reader. You see, his library wasn't some stuffy status symbol or a quiet room to just think. No way. It was an active, buzzing workshop. It was the place for building a nation from scratch. And the sheer scale of it, it's just staggering. We're talking about 4,289 books. But you know what? The number isn't even the real story here. The real story is in the margins. It's in the underlines, the question marks, the little exclamation points. He didn't just read these books. He went to war with them. He interrogated them. He debated them. And he mined them for ideas he could actually use. Okay, so let's start where he started, as a soldier. I mean, before he was a president, he was one of the most brilliant military commanders of his time, hands down. And his library, well, it shows us exactly how he sharpened that strategic mind. His military collection was just incredibly diverse. You'd find these super technical manuals on engineering right next to these deep dives into modern military theory. He studied all the great battles of history, of course. But here's the crucial part. He always made a point to study his opponents. And this right here reveals something truly audacious about him. This book is about the Gallipoli campaign, which in Turkish is the Battle of Çanakkale. This was Ataturk's signature victory. This is where he became a legend, defending the peninsula against absolutely overwhelming Allied forces. So what does he do years later? He goes and gets the official British military history of the campaign, and he studies it, page by page. Why? He wanted to understand his own greatest success from the enemy's point of view. Who does that? And this just brilliantly illustrates the kind of respect he commanded. Inside that very same book, the Turkish translator, a man named Muharrem Feyzi, wrote this dedication by hand. He's presenting the book to Ataturk on behalf of the British, and listen to what he calls him: a great commander, a noble enemy, and a magnanimous friend. I mean, wow, that's the verdict from the people he defeated. All right, so let's shift gears. Let's move from the battlefield to the halls of Parliament. Because as the war ended, the mission changed. It wasn't about winning battles anymore. It was about building a nation. And his library? It basically became the drafting table for the new Republic of Turkey. And I mean, every single part of the new state was meticulously researched. So, step one, he's reading books on civics, trying to figure out what it means to be a citizen, the rights, the responsibilities. Step two, he's devouring volumes on law to build a totally new legal framework from the ground up. And step three, he's studying economic plans, charting a course for a modern industrial nation. And he got deep in the weeds here. This wasn't just high-level, abstract theory. I mean, look at this page from a book of laws. His underlines are on articles about, get this, newspaper distribution. The point is, no detail was too small for him. From the Constitution all the way down to commerce, every single gear in the machine of the new state was examined and fine-tuned through his reading. But you know, creating new laws and government ministries, in some ways, that was the easy part. Ataturk's most ambitious project, his most radical one, was entirely intellectual. It was about forging a whole new identity for the Turkish people. And that meant he had to reshape the very tools we use to think, language and history. And it's really hard to overstate just how radical this was. We're talking about the language reform. This meant completely ditching the Perso-Arabic script that had been used for centuries and adopting a brand new Latin-based alphabet. This was not just a cosmetic change. The old script was seen as this relic of an imperial, religious past, and frankly, it was really hard to learn. The new Latin alphabet, that was a deliberate, powerful move toward the West, towards secularism, and the goal was to dramatically boost literacy and give the nation a single, unified, new voice. And check this out. He wasn't just the guy who ordered this to happen. He was basically its chief editor. Just look at this. On the left, you see a printed page from a brand new grammar textbook, and on the right, another page from that same book, but it's completely covered in his own writing. He's correcting examples, he's proposing new words, he's questioning the rules. He is literally arguing with the textbook that's supposed to be teaching his own reform. Incredible. And this cultural engineering, it didn't stop with language. It went right into history itself. What you're looking at is a page from a really foundational text of the New Republic called The Main Lines of Turkish History. This was a huge state-sponsored project to basically create a new national story, one that focused on a pre-Islamic Turkish identity totally separate from the Ottoman past. And, of course, Atatürk read it and marked it up himself. So you have to ask, where did all these ideas come from? For the military, the state, the culture, all of it. Well, this last part of his library, it reveals a mind that was just relentlessly curious and, above all, super pragmatic. He studied every major ideology out there, not to copy them, but to understand them, to pull them apart, and to pick and choose the tools he needed for the job. Just take a look at this pairing. It's kind of wild. On one hand, he's reading a brand new analysis of fascism, digging into how it uses state control and mobilizes the masses. Then, on the other hand, he's reading a core text from the French Enlightenment, a fiery argument for reason and against organized religion. Now, for a pragmatist building a state from zero, these weren't contradictions. Not at all. One book offered a model for centralized power, the other provided the philosophical firepower for a secular republic. And he studied them with a strategist's eye. It's so important to get this. Right here in that book on fascism, you can see he has heavily marked up a translated speech by Mussolini. Now, he wasn't endorsing the ideology, not by a long shot. He was dissecting the technique. He was figuring out, okay, how is power built? How do you move a crowd? How is a message crafted? For him, every single idea was either a potential tool he could use or a potential threat he had to understand. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, it becomes crystal clear. For Atatürk, a library was never, ever a passive thing. It wasn't for leisure, it wasn't for entertainment. It was a workshop for building an entire state. It was an arsenal for fighting a war of ideas. Every single book was a tool, every margin was a conversation, and every shelf was a blueprint. This whole journey through his books, it really gives us this incredibly rare glimpse into the intellectual engine of a revolution. And it leaves us with a pretty big question, right? If a leader's library really is the blueprint for a nation's future, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's on the nightstand of today's leaders? What are they underlining right now?